Hey, hi and welcome back. In previous video we completed resistor and we saw almost everything about resistor that you should know from beginner's point of view. Okay. Now in this video we are going to see a component similar to resistor, which is potentiometer. Okay. So let's start with this video, which is Introduction to Potentiometer Part 1. So before we start with this video, let me tell you what you will learn in this video. So the first point is, what is potentiometer? So I will explain you this component potentiometer and we will see how it look like. Okay. After that we will see what's the purpose or application of potentiometer. So here I will explain you how we use the potentiometer in the circuit. And in the end, I will show you the different types of potentiometer that are actually available in the market. So this is how we are going to cover this video and I hope that you will enjoy this video. Okay, so let's start with this video now. So what is potentiometer? A potentiometer is a 3-terminal resistor with a sliding or rotating contact that forms an adjustable voltage divider. So this is basically a definition from the Wikipedia, and let's try to understand this definition with the help of this image. Now this is how basically a potentiometer look like, and whenever you will look for a potentiometer in a local market, this is what you are going to get. Okay, so let's try to understand this definition with the help of this particular image. So what it is written, a potentiometer is a 3-terminal resistor. So this is basically a resistor and you can see it has got 3 terminals. So this one is the first terminal, then the second one, then the third one. Okay. So these are the 3 terminals of the potentiometer. After that, what it is written with a sliding or rotating contact. So you can see this is basically a knob of potentiometer, and if we rotate this particular knob, then this potentiometer is actually going to change the resistance. So it's basically a kind of variable resistor. Okay. And as it has got a knob, that's why it is basically a rotating kind of potentiometer. There is also a sliding kind of potentiometer, which are available in market. But those potentiometers are, not widely used for many application. But this rotating type of potentiometer is very widely used. That's the reason I have included this particular image. Okay. And after that, what they have written, that forms an adjustable voltage divider. So this is basically a purpose of potentiometer. It's basically an application of potentiometer. So there are actually 2 purposes of potentiometer and we are going to discuss those 2 purposes in this video. The first purpose is it is used as a variable resistor, and the second purpose is it is used as an adjustable voltage divider. Okay. So we will discuss these 2 purposes in this particular video. In previous video, we discussed that resistor has got a fixed resistance, for example, 1 kilo ohms, 2 kilo ohms, 10 kilo ohms. So likewise, but this potentiometer component has got a variable resistance. And what will be the resistance value? It actually depends on the position of this particular knob. Okay. So potentiometer is basically a variable resistor and we use this particular component multiple times in our design. Okay. So now let's try to understand the purpose of potentiometer in the circuitry. So as I discussed, there are actually 2 purposes of potentiometer. The first purpose is to use it as a variable resistor. So we can use the potentiometer as a variable resistor. After that, the second purpose is to set the desired voltage as per the requirement. So we can use the potentiometer to set the desired voltage. Okay. So how it is done, you will get that in a moment in this video. But prior to that, let me show you the functional diagram and schematic symbol of potentiometer. And while discussing this functional diagram, I will explain you the purpose of potentiometer. Okay. So this is basically the functional diagram of potentiometer and this is the schematic symbol of potentiometer. So whenever you will create a schematic using any of the CAD software, I'm not just talking about Eagle software, but any other CAD software, this is basically the symbol that we use to create the schematic. Okay. So now let's try to understand the functional diagram of potentiometer. So in this functional diagram, you can see that there are actually three terminals. So this is the first terminal, second terminal and third terminal. And if we measure the resistance between this first terminal and this third terminal using a multimeter, then you will find that the resistance of this potentiometer is going to be fixed if we measure between these two terminals. And what will be the value of this resistance? It actually depends on the potentiometer that you are using. There are actually multiple potentiometers available in market which comes with a value of 1 kilo ohms. Then there are potentiometer which comes with a value of 10 kilo ohms, 100 kilo ohms. So depending on the type of potentiometer that you are using, you will actually get that particular value. Okay. For example, let's say that you are using a 10 kilo ohms potentiometer, and if you connect the multimeters one terminal here and second terminal here, and you set the multimeter in ohms mode, then you are actually going to get a value near around 10 kilo ohms. Okay, it will not be exactly 10 kilo ohms. It will be around 9 kilo ohms or somewhere around that. Okay, so if you measure the resistance value between these two terminals, then you are going to get a fixed resistance value. After that, if you measure the resistance value between the first terminal and the second terminal, then you are actually going to get a variable resistance value. And what will be that value? It actually depends on the position of this particular knob. So you can see right now the knob is at this particular position. Let's consider that you rotated the knob in clockwise direction and the position of this knob shifted from this point to this point. And if you observe the resistance between these 2 points, then you will see that the resistance value is changed. Okay, so based on the position of this knob, you are actually going to get the resistance value. Okay, so if the knob is at this particular position, then the value is going to be around 0 ohms or somewhere around that. If you set the knob position to center, and if it is a 10 kilo ohms potentiometer, then you are going to get a 5 kilo ohms value. And if you set the position of this knob to extreme end, let's say at this position, then you will observe that the value between these 2 points, it's going to be around 10 kilo ohms. So that's how basically the potentiometer is used as a variable resistor. Okay, so whenever you will use the potentiometer in variable resistor mode in your circuitry, at that time you just have to use this particular point and this particular point in your circuitry, and this point will be actually in floating state. Okay, so that was the first purpose, to use it as a variable resistor. After that, the second purpose is it is used as a voltage divider. So whenever you have to use the potentiometer in voltage divider mode, at that time what you have to do, you have to connect this particular terminal, which is the first terminal. It should be connected to VCC, okay, any positive supply, and this another terminal, it should be connected to the ground. Okay, and after that, if you measure the voltage at this point, which is the second pin, with respect to ground using a multimeter, then you will see that the voltage is actually going to be different, or it's going to be based on the position of this knob. So for example, let's say that this VCC is 5 volt and the position of this knob is here. Then you will observe that the voltage at this point with respect to ground, it's going to be around 5 volt or near this particular value. Okay. In the same way, if you shifted this knob, or if you brought this knob at the center position, then you are going to get a value of around 2.5 volt with respect to ground. Okay, so all the values that you are going to measure at this point, it's going to be with respect to the ground. Okay, and if the position of this knob is at this position, then as the knob is closer to this ground, so the voltage at this point, it's going to be around 0 volt. Okay, around that. So this knob is actually dividing this entire track in two different parts. Okay, so it's going to be like this, one resistance on top side and another resistance on the bottom side. Okay, and this is basically connected to VCC, which is actually 5 volt, and this particular point is connected to ground. And here we are actually measuring the voltage. So if you set the position of this knob at the center, it means that this side, this end, top end, it's going to be 5 kilo ohms. If this potentiometer has got a value of 10 kilo ohms, then and the bottom resistor is going to have the value of 5 kilo ohms. And if you measure the voltage at this point with respect to ground, then it's going to be 2.5 volt. Okay. So this is how basically the potentiometer is used as a voltage divider. So we provided the 5 volt and we achieved a desired voltage on the output side or at this particular point by varying the knob or by varying the position of this particular knob. Okay. So I hope that these two purposes are now clear to you. After that, now let me show you the different types of potentiometer which are actually available in the market. So this is basically the potentiometer about which we have already discussed, and it's a rotating contact kind of potentiometer, and this is very popular and you can get this potentiometer easily in the local market. Okay, so this is one of the type of potentiometer which is available in market. Then this is another type of potentiometer which is available in market, and then this is also a potentiometer, but we don't call it as a potentiometer. It is actually called as preset. So if you go to the local market and if you ask for a potentiometer, then that vendor is actually going to provide you with this or this one. Okay, he's going to ask you whether you want this one or this one. If you want this one and if you ask for a potentiometer, then you will not get this one. Okay, you have to use this particular word which is called as preset. Okay, although the working of both all the three components are actually same, but from mechanical construction point of view, this preset is actually little different compared to these two components. Okay, so that's why it is actually called as preset. And another reason why it is called as preset, it's because for example, if you are using a preset with a value of 10 kilo ohms, then you can set the resistance value. As I told you, we can use the potentiometer as a variable resistor. So with the help of preset, you can actually precisely set the value of resistance. Okay, or you can achieve a desired voltage very precisely with the help of this particular component. Okay, that's why it is called as preset. Okay, but from working point of view, all the three components are same. After that, now let me show you one popular application in which the potentiometers are used. So this is basically called as music mixer, and in this music mixer you can see there are a lot of potentiometer. Okay, so you can see here these are actually the rotating contact kind of potentiometer, and these are actually the sliding contact kind of potentiometer. Okay, so this is very popular application of potentiometer, which is actually music mixer. Alright, so that's what I wanted to discuss in this video. I hope that every single thing that we discussed is now clear to you. And if you have any kind of doubt, then definitely you can ask me. Okay, and I also hope that you enjoyed this video. Okay, alright, so that's what I wanted to tell. Now in next video we will see Introduction to Potentiometer Part 2.